Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. We have the lights on. The grid order has been set. Apologies for the break. Held a very long time. It's green and go here at Algarve. And a great stop from an orthodox who cuts across Jamie Brazier, but it has to give him the space as Jamie's nose was still there. And into turn one they come. And big boy Brazier barges Dan a little wide. And Dan will keep the lead in this race. Yellow flag already in the background. Not sure why, as there's cars galore at this first part of the lap. The full lap here, the full map is on. And here we go then. It's go, go, go. And what a start to this race already as Dan leads. Jamie leads from Dan, from Gary 131, who's going to go up the inside of Dan and looks up the inside of Jamie. Jamie has to give him room. There's the tyres that drivers are starting on, and Gary going for the alternate strategy of the softs to the mediums. And Gary now up to P2, the quicker tyre, clearly wants to be in P3. DJ Phil has dropped all the way back to the back of the pack then, as he's now in the yellow flag. Not sure who's that for that. I think it's Fury and Bryn. Yes, it is. Is there damage? Not to Bryn's car, not to Fury's car either, I don't believe. We wait for it to turn around. No damage here, but back to the front. Gary's taken the lead of this race. He leads in this race then and has a great first lap to this race, starting P5 on the grid. Gary back out in front already then, and he's already causing some dramas as Dan has to tuck back in behind Jamie. The different lines through this corner. Forsy's down to 4th, Lucas Roth 5th, Leon Fernie dropped to 6th off the start, Smithy is 7th. With Craig 8th, Pierre 9th, Smokey 10th, Phil, then Fury, then Bryn. But Gary 131, down the start straight he comes, leads from Big Boy Brazier, from Unorthodox, from Forsey. And Gary setting the paces. Here comes Danny, has a look at Big Boy Brazier. Can't do nothing about it. Leon Fernie has a look at Lucas Roth. And again, can't do nothing about it yet as well. But here we go. What a start to this race then. Dan already on the back of Jamie and as Forsey. These four you imagine are going to be the title contenders. And Dan looking now for a move, but as Forsey trying to make a move, Dan can't do nothing about it. Leon Fernie and Lucas Roth. Lucas Roth back up the inside as A. Smith watches on. There's Craig EP and Smokey Devil. DJ Phil and Fury gaining as well, as there's Bryn in P13, but it's Gary from Jamie from Dan. And all three of them, look like Dan's pretty much pushing Jamie up the hill here. Over the hill and far away. The Teletubbies haven't come to play because they're 5th and 11th in terms of Teletubby Motorsport drivers in the Pro and Pro-Am. But Dan, 3rd place, and has just lost a bit of ground. Yellow flag sector 2, and Bryn again has lost it at the same part of the track. He lost it a lot in race 1, has done the same thing again. And if you are Bryn here, it's about keeping you cool as we're only on lap 2 of 37. Dan looking up the inside of Jamie then. DRS will open at the end of the next lap. And Gary trying to build that gap already in this race to make sure that he can stay well out in front. For Dan, though, Gary doesn't get the greatest run. Dan, though, did get a better run than Jamie Brazier. Gary does the fastest lap of the race. No one yet beats it. Here comes Dan on the back of Jamie. Here comes Jamie on the back of Gary. No moves into turn 1. What about Fury? What about Lucas Roth and Leon Fernie? Sorry, Leon trying to go the long way round. No good out there. Smithy watching these two. Craig EP and Smokey Fury. DJ Phil Van Bryn. Gary, though, will be giving Jamie Brazier some DRS, and on board Jamie, look, flap open. He's got Dan coming with him as well. And under the braking here, Dan getting very close to the back of Jamie Brazier as Forsey gets interested as well. Leon Fernie now goes up the inside of Lucas Roth, and he's bringing A. Smith with them as well. Lucas Roth tucks in behind Leon Fernie, will have to sit and wait. He now has a little look, can't get it done there, and again sits behind and waits. Craigie, PN, top 10 score points in this one, don't forget. Fury, DJ Phil, bit of a wiggle there for DJ Phil and there for Fury, sorry, and this could allow DJ Phil the opportunity up the outside. No, Phil backs out of that one and thinks better of it. Out front, coming towards the final DRS detection zone. Forzie's just dropped out of that zone to Dan then, and Dan within 3/10 of Jamie Brazier now, and with a fully front wing we can see what Dan can do as he just run the track limits a little bit there. Gary sets a new fastest lap, and here they come. Smithy's now got past Lucas Roth in the background and he's done it by some margin here. Dan just losing out to Jamie down the straight, and Gary Softs aren't actually, I'd say the mediums are actually the better tyre to be on, because Gary Softs aren't doing what he wants them to do and allowing him to pull away from Big Boy Brazier. They are dropping Forzie though. On board Gary 131. This is his view of Jamie in the background. Obviously he can't see that. And down to the hairpin, easy as you like. Now uphill they go. PN having a little look maybe on Smoky Devil, who's trying to gain on Craigie. And again, nothing done there. So Lucas Roth down behind Leon Fernie and A. Smith now. And Keeks just doesn't seem to have their medium tyres switched on just yet. Smoky Devil in the points for this second race, currently trying to make some places up. And for Jamie, he's not going to want Gary to be on 24 race wins with him again after this one. And for Dan, he's going to want to start to pull away from these guys, because whatever Dan's not winning, these boys are all catching him up. And here comes Smoky Devil then. Let's go back to the leaders. As through the detection zone they come once again. Jamie 6/10 behind Gary. Dan 5/10 behind Jamie. Jamie though gets that section absolutely bang on every time. Gary fastest lap. That then quickly becomes Jamie fastest lap of the race. And Jamie with his DRS goes down to 0.2 of a second. And Jamie's speed in a straight line here is absolutely incredible then. Really setting the pace. As Dan, half a second behind Jamie. Now let's ride on board Jamie for this second detection zone. You can't really gain a lot of time. There's Gary in front, gains under the brakes he tries to. Dan behind. And what has happened to Forzie? He's dropped right off the back of Dan here. He's got Leon Fernie actually catching him. Keegs has DRS on A. Smith, but no result there as Smithy goes very wide. Smoky Devil has got past Craig, and now PN can sit on the back of Craig as well. And can maybe just try to get an extra position here. Fury's ahead of DJ Phil. We've lost Bryn once again. So must be having internet troubles tonight. Must Bryn. Gary though leads from Big Boy Brazier, who leads from this man on Orthodubs. Racing in the Dan Tinctum colours. Now let's see the effects of Dan's slipstream round here. Now look at Jamie's line compared to Dan. Jamie not on the curbs as much as Dan, look, and that just creates Jamie a bit of room to pull away here. And in that DRS, Jamie's being able to find a way to catch Gary down the straight. Jamie's straight line speed far superior than on Orthodubs's. Dan needs to figure out a way to get on the back of Jamie Brazier, who takes a different line to Gary there, as well as PM Motorsport has lost out to Fury then, so Fury's got ahead of him. As Jamie nearly running into the back of an Orthodox of Gary 131 there. And I tell you what, the medium tyre, this might not be a bad strategy from Gary 131 here, because the medium tyre looks the tyre to potentially be on. As for Gary, he's not really pulling away from these two. He was the quickest man in the first race. Gary's not pulling away here from these two. So at the minute, Gary 131 doing exactly what he needs to do so far. And with that medium tyre coming into play, you'd imagine that for Gary, that medium tyre will potentially give him a bit more of a benefit later to come. So here comes Gary then, and he's really now trying to defend from Jamie, who's lost out to Gary this time around. Dan a lot closer, but still Dan doesn't get as good a run as Jamie out that final corner. On board with Big Boy Brazier. Look, he's dropping Dan and gaining on Gary hand over fist, but cannot get it done. Back down the pack a little bit. Craigie trying to stick to the back of Fury. That'll be the DRS zone opening up as well. And can he get that move done? Craigie, DRS wide open. Fury goes defensive. Craigie pulls to the outside. He's going to have to go the long way around there. Tucks back underneath Fury. That is job done. Fury can't come across to defend because there is Craigie. And that is a great move. And that is P2. Yellow flag in Sector 1. I think we've had a spinner. I'm not quite sure who that is. That is Smoky Devil. Has he got wing damage? Let's have a look then. Yes, he's got no front wing, so an early pit stop for Smoky Devil in this race. That is a shame. And there is a virtual safety car. So for Gary 131, he will lead the pack away under a virtual safety car here. So then, what will happen under this? We're coming to the end of the lap. Will there be anybody pitting for Smoky Devil? Obviously, we know Smoky Devil's got to pit. He's going to have to re-pit for his front wing, which should mean he'll lose out to DJ Phil and Bryn in this race. 27 people watching the stream. Guys, girls, hit that thumbs up button. We are 6 subscribers away from the 100. Is the VSC still out? This might help Smoky Devil actually to pit and come out ahead of Bryn in this race. What this is doing is just helping Dan and Jamie's tyres go that little bit longer. As the safety car ends, Smoky Devil has ended it in the pits. That should allow Bryn to come round and get back past. But look at Big Boy Brazier and Unorthodox here. Dan really attacking the back of Jamie Brazier then. Couldn't get close enough. This is on board Jamie's rear view. And this is what Dan's looking at. They have dropped Forzy. Forzy's under some pressure here then from Leon Fernie in this race. Smoky Devil does drop to last. He's currently still not even leaving the pits. Now he leaves the pits. Big Boy Brazier, lap 8 of 37. Big Boy Brazier has some work to do from Unorthodox. The next closest battle is PN on the back of Craigie here then. And this is PN's point of view. And what a job PN's doing in this race. Currently in 10th place. Will like a few more points. Not seeing him as strong as what we saw him at Bahrain 2 weeks ago. As Riley NUFC in the chat. Good evening, Riley. Hope you're well. Hit the subscribe button if you're new, and don't forget to hit that thumbs up button as well. As here goes PN Motorsport then with DRS. Jamie's got the gap down to 2 tenths, but they're coming through to Sector 3. In fact, we'll go to that battle in the next DRS. So Gary, Jamie, Dan. Here we go then. Down to the hairpin. Nobody could make a move on the other drivers there. What about PN Motorsport? Just cannot hook this lap up. If you like what you see here, then don't forget to join us next week. Next Wednesday and Thursday, or this Wednesday and Thursday coming up for Bruno. GT3s in the Pro on Wednesday at 8 PM BST, and the Pro on Thursday night. Second night race of the season. There's only 4 weeks left in that one now. That is a big mistake from, I think, Fury, 2 cars up the road. It was indeed, who had a big wiggle out the corner then. And back to the front 3, because they are within 7 tenths of a second of each other. And Dan has to nail this final sector, because this is where he's losing his time to Jamie. Keeping a tighter line than Jamie Brazier through there. Now then, who's going to have that DRS? Jamie does, Dan does as well. Dan then does the fastest lap of the race. Gary's softs have not worked for him as he would have hoped. Jamie goes on the attack here, a little further up, can't do nothing about it. Dan hoping Jamie might outbrake himself, and does hope that Jamie outbrakes himself, because he squeezes up the inside, and as they come to turn 3, it's 3 for the lead here, and Dan up the inside for P2, takes it from Jamie Brazier, and that is job done. Easy as you like. Now Jamie can come back at Dan. Dan goes defensive. Jamie's going to try and go the long way around unorthodox here. Is he going to try and break and tuck underneath? Dan doesn't let him and just forces Jamie a little wide there. The Smoky Devil on the soft tyre, we know, can get 25 laps out of it, because that's what they've just done for the sprint race. Could Smokey get that tyre to the end? That could be a big shout for him if he can. 3 for the lead though. Dan into second after just setting the fastest lap. Gary Softs are not doing what he wanted them to do. So I reckon Gary might want to ditch them tyres and get onto that medium compound tyre as quick as possible, because that will be where he wants to be. And for Gary then, he really is now just trying to defend from Dan. Dan 3/10 off the back of Gary. Jamie 6/10 off the back of Dan. But this is where Jamie gets the better run from Dan. He's already pulled a 10th back. Dan now within 2/10 of a second from Gary. 131 as down towards turn 1 they come. Did you watch the British Grand Prix? We absolutely did. Dan then up the inside of Gary, and Unorthodox is taking the lead. They're still side by side. Gary around the outside at turn 2 still can't make it stick. And is he going to keep it around the outside of 3? He has, you know. Jamie could get the benefit there. Gary will definitely have some DRS off of Unorthodox then. Dan leads this race. What a dramatic British Grand Prix we had. What a dramatic Portuguese Grand Prix we're having here in the F2s. Jamie up the inside of Gary for P2, and Jamie takes P2 away from Gary, and this fight for the lead is absolutely tantalising at the moment, because Gary 131 is now down into P3 from P1. If this is what the soft tyres are going to do, Gary must want to get rid of them as soon as possible and must want to be on that medium compound tyre as quick as possible, because these mediums definitely look the best tyre. This is the closest battle out on track at the moment. Everybody else a bit spread out at the minute. And Gary trying to come back at Jamie. Now Dan will be the sitting duck down the start straight, you have to say, because Dan will have no DRS. What a move from Dan, what a move from Jamie. This is where, though, Jamie Brazier gets the benefit of the run compared to Unorthodox. The sun starting to break out a little more. Just a little lift there you hear from Jamie. There's Gary just now starting to drop away. DRS wide open, and here he comes on Unorthodox then. Pulls out to the left and goes to cover him. Jamie goes left again, and that is job done. And the lead of this race for big boy Brazier. Now then, Unorthodox, what can you do? He's trying to come back up the inside. Does get back up the inside. Jamie gives him plenty of room. Gary nearly gets caught out by that. The problem for Dan is he's gave himself DRS away. Has he got a good run out of turn 4? I don't think so, because Jamie's all over the back of him. And where is Gary 131? They're all there together. There's Dan on the outside. The cameraman, not very good angle there because of the standings on the side. But for Gary, then look, he's trying to come back at Jamie Brazier up the hill. He'll be on the inside for this little king, the outside for the right-hander, and Gary right around the outside. Great manoeuvre. As easy as you like, Gary 131. What a job that is. Now he's on the back of Dan. PN Motorsport trying to get within a second of Craigie after that DRS zone. Couldn't do so. So we'll keep an eye on PN's time at the moment. Smoky Devil's catching on the back of Bryn. As Dan then defends the lap of DRS. Really came back at Jamie in them opening couple of corners. Half a second, the gap between Dan and this man, Gary 131. As we just get rid of the standings for the time being, just so we can see the overtakes depending on the cameras. Dan pulls out to defend. There's Gary. Jamie now pulls out to attack. And here comes big boy Brazier up the inside of Gary 131. Gary's going to hold it around the outside. He has to go very wide. Does keep the place over Jamie there. And into turn 4. Gary still second. A wiggle for Dan on the exit of the corner. And Gary now takes back the lead of this race. Who has DRS though? Not Gary or Dan, apparently. The two leaders do not have DRS, and Jamie Brazier doesn't. Up the inside of Gary he goes, but can't get the move done on Dan. So what a crazy scene here this is. PN has lost out time to Craigie, but what a fight for the lead this is. Unorthodox Gary and Jamie side by side once again, and Gary right round the outside of Big Boy Brazier, and that's back into P2 as they break for the right-hander. They come down towards the final couple of corners. When is Gary going to pit on that softer tyre that will wear a lot quicker than the mediums, as we know? Forsey in the background, he's not even in this battle. He's a quick boy, second place in the sprint race, but he's not in this battle. And Dan has Dan has broke the DRS train from Gary 131. So Gary and Jamie's battle has cost Gary DRS to unorthodox. And here goes Jamie Brazier, DRS wide open now, pulls out on Gary 131, and that will be job done for P2. And now heading down after Dan, all very wide at that part of the track. Heading down after Dan, Jamie once again, I want to get that time under the DRS zone. He might have just done so, you know. Does his flap open? It does. So Jamie did get DRS on unorthodox just at the nick of time. Gary's tyres may be coming towards the end of their life here. Lap 19. The poll for who you think will win this race will close. The vote, though, at the minute is going the way of Big Boy Brazier. How Dan is being able to hold on to this lead, I do not know. Back down the pack then. There is Forsey. We'll just check on the other drivers. Leon Fernie currently running in a good 5th place. 2.9 ahead of A. Smith, who Lucas Roth has got no answer for. He's 9 seconds behind. Fury's 2 seconds behind him. Can see Lucas Roth. Then it comes Craigie and PN Motorsport. DJ Phil 11th, Bryn down in 12th, ahead of Smoky Devil by 5 seconds. But this battle for the lead at the minute really hotting up as Dan, as we see in the background, there is Jamie and Gary, is in that DRS, under DRS threat from Jamie Brazier. And he's under DRS threat from Gary 131. We'll watch on the back of Unorthodox as they come down the start straight. Gary bails to the pit lane. So Gary then pitting. Jamie does the fastest lap of the race. And look at how fast Jamie Brazier is catching here. Close but no cigar. Very wide there from Jamie, as well as on the back of Unorthodox car. Look how close he gets under braking. Up the hill they come. Jamie within half a second. Under 0.5 of a second now. The gap with DRS for Big Boy Brazier getting tighter and tighter, and under braking, Jamie will have to just wait patiently then. So where does Gary feed out the pits? He's away now behind PN, maybe behind DJ Phil, will be out well in front of Bryn, and comes off the limiter way down the order in P11. Top 10 score points, let's not forget, as Lucas Roth now is right on the back of Fury. I'm patiently waiting. Fury, who took a win last Thursday night in race 2 of the Pro Series, to put himself onto 29 race wins and one step closer. Jamie Brazier, by the way, is 1 win away from the milestone of 25 in this one. Fury then. Here he comes. Lucas Roth trying to find a way through. Jamie and Dan once again. Jamie will be in within DRS range. So let's just go to Jamie Brazier. We'll come back to Lucas Roth in a moment. Here comes Jamie. Dan goes defensive. Jamie pulls out. Dan tries to come across. Jamie gives him a car's width on the outside, and Jamie runs a little deep, and Dan will take that position back. Now to Lucas Roth, who should have the DRS, as PN's got past Craigie. Lucas Roth, who has DRS over Fury then. Can't imagine we're going to see the medium tyres runners come in for a pit stop just yet. He's 7 tenths behind Fury, so he's lost a bit of time to Fury. And he's losing time in a straight line, actually. That DRS only worked very late on here. What about Craigie in the DRS? Jamie's a 10th behind on Unorthodox, so we'll go to them in just a moment. In fact, let's go to them now, because they're pretty much side by side, as Craigie's got back out of PM Motorsport. Apologies for that. Jamie Brazier trying every way he can to get past. His teammate PN has just lost out to Craigie, but will have DRS down the second DRS zone. There it opens, and he's not really gaining on PN Motorsport, on Craigie too much. Gary then, 6 seconds behind DJ Phil, has got to nail these outlaps. Jamie just looking up the inside of Unorthodox there. Look at the run Jamie will get through this part of the track. Here he goes then. Here goes Jamie Brazier. 0.2 of a second. Gets a better run than Dan out that part of the corner. And now he pulls to that left-hand side. And he should be past Dan within plenty of time. And indeed he is. He comes back across. Can brake at exactly the right moment. And Dan trying to still look underneath. Can't do nothing about it. Now it'll be Dan's turn to try and get back on the rear of Jamie Brazier. As Bryn's now dropped to 13th place. Struggle tonight has Bryn. Here comes Unorthodox. DRS should open. There it is. 0.3 of a second. Jamie goes defensive. Is Dan going to think of sending one? PN's back ahead of Craigie. Dan looks round the outside. Can't do nothing about it. PN got Craigie. Has he got him before the DRS zone? No. I think Craigie's got the DRS. Indeed, Craigie has. And up into P8 goes Craigie once again. Gary does the fastest lap of the race. Gary is charging on their medium tyres at the moment. Lap 19. The poll will end, so get your votes in for who you think is going to win this race. As PN has lost a lot of time to Craigie. Then Lucas Roth back within half a second of Fury here. Not seeing a lot of A. Smith or Leon Fernie, to be fair, or Forsey in this race. Forsey just hasn't had an answer. Lucas Roth is through, and I think Fury's made a mistake then, because Lucas Roth gains an extra place. But now then, the question is this man. He gets a good, decent run out the final corner, still loses time to Big Boy Brazier, and now Dan, with that DRS, will head after him. Bryn stays well out of the way of Big Boy Brazier, and gets in Dan's way on the apex of the corner. Bryn didn't really have anywhere to go then. And that forces Dan a little wide, but gains on Jamie under the braking. PN Motorsport back within 0.9 of a second of Craigie. Let's go on board PN Motorsport here then. We'll have DRS on Craig. Both these drivers after some good points. If you're Forsey, as Craigie then comes into the pit, 16 laps on their mediums, and job done for, says Craigie. So he comes in. Gary 131 will come flying past as he sets another fastest lap of the race. Let's see the pit stop from the HWA boys. Slow pit lane. Where is Smoky Devil? Yellow flag sector 1. That is DJ Phil who's made a mistake, and Gary's now up to 9th. Soft tyres going on for Craigie. And away he now goes. Jamie has Dan within 0.5 of a second then. So Craigie, the first pit stop for him. Although Smoky Devil has pitted, will he go to the end? But Craigie, the first man on the medium tyres to pit. Jamie is going to box as well. Dan doesn't follow him in. So where will this bring Jamie Brazier out? It's also going to, Bryn's also going to come into the pits. He's a lap down, so that'll clear Forsey traffic. That'll also clear Leon Fernie. Now then, Gary 131 is a long way back, but it is a slow pit stop in these F2s, especially when you get held a little by the traffic of Bryn. Jamie onto the softs. Now then, Bryn in the pits as well. Where is Lucas Roth? Coming down the straight, as is Fury. Gary, nowhere in sight. So Jamie's strategy here, an absolute blinder, will be behind Fury and Lucas Roth, who are side by side battling it out. And Lucas Roth gets, Fury gets up the inside of Lucas Roth. Job done. And Jamie out the pits, a long way up the road from Gary. So starting on the softs has really cost him. And Gary now needs to get on with this. He's got to get going. Dan, will he react to Jamie's pit stop? He's got a long bit of time. DJ Phil is now coming to the pits. 18 laps them tyres have done. Will Dan box? Lucas Roth within 0.5 second of Fury then. Fury trying to defend from him. Gary, 1.6 off the back of PN, but is about 11-12 seconds off the back of Jamie Brazier. Craigie gets past DJ Phil as a result of DJ Phil pitting. You'd imagine DJ Phil will come out the pits before Smoky Devil gets there, and indeed he does. But that gap down to 8 seconds now. So Craigie takes up that final point spot. Dan did not pit, neither did Forsey, neither does Leon Fernie, neither does Smithy. So no pit stop there for the front four. What about this man Fury and Lucas Roth? Now will Lucas Roth stay on track to play the backup and hold Jamie Brazier up. Gary will have DRS on PM Motorsport. Lucas Roth has passed Fury because Fury comes in. Now then, PN, can he hold Gary 131 up? No, he can't because Gary's already alongside, and that is job done. Gary's next target then is Jamie Brazier, and that will be for the race lead, and that gap is 9.8 seconds. How big a target has Lucas Roth got on his back? There was a yellow flag for Lucas Roth and Big Boy Brazier, but for Keegs here, with Jamie having DRS wide open, is Keegs just going to let him go? He has actually let Jamie go up the inside. Jamie, though, outbreaks himself a bit, and here comes Lucas Roth, taps the back of Jamie, holds a wiggle, and Jamie's through. Dan may have wanted Lucas Roth to hold on to that one a little longer for when he comes into the pits. Nevertheless, as Lucas Roth, all sideways there, has got to pit, and Gary has now got to think of another plan, but Gary knows what them soft tyres are like. They didn't do 17 laps, did Gary? Dan in. Gary didn't get 17 laps after them soft tyres, so while ever Big Boy Brazier is racing people, it's going to be difficult. Forzy into the pits, Dan into the pits. What about A. Smith? Jamie, the little red dot, coming to the back end of the lap, gaining on Leon Fernie. Dan in, a change of tyres. Here comes Forzy, who is just going to delay Dan slightly. A. Smith leads this race. Dan's away. Now where's Big Boy Brazier? Did he pit too early? Here comes Jamie, here comes Leon Fernie. There is Big Boy Brazier in the background, and Dan's little dot as Jamie does the fastest lap of the race. There's Dan. Jamie leads by some margin. So Smithy from Leon Fernie, from Big Boy Brazier, Lucas Roth ahead of Forzy, and Gary 131 lost out to Forzy as well. PN is in the pits. The crew ready for PM. Gary then right on the back of Forzy will have DRS down this second part of the lap. Lucas Roth on the back of Dan. Lucas Roth though yet to stop. And Dan 4 seconds behind Jamie, but I think Gary could still be in the box seat here. PN drops behind Fury. Will he drop behind Craig E? He's away while Craig's coming up to speed. Forzy forcing Gary wide here then. And Gary has the momentum. And we saw in the early stage of this race how better the medium tyre was. Yellow flag sector 2, and that is for Lucas Roth, whose car is stricken and rejoins behind the pair of these two. So Gary makes up yet another place. Needs to clear Forzy. Fury as well has had an off, and this could invite Craig E and PN, who are on course to resume their battle here. Jamie on the back of Leon Fernie as A. Smith comes into the pits now. Will Leon Fernie pit this lap? Either way, he's going to give Jamie DRS here. And Leon Fernie is going to carry on his way. How hard does he fight Jamie Brazier then? Jamie gaining and gaining and gaining. And while ever Leon Fernie's out in front, this is helping unorthodox out. And Leon Fernie stays in front for the time being. This just holding Dan. Now then, A. Smith coming out of the pit lane as Gary and Forzy get through. Lucas Roth is in. Gary couldn't get past Forzy this time around. But for Big Boy Brazier, how much of a hindrance is Leon Fernie being? Although Jamie looks like he's got the run now and he's looking up the inside of Leon Fernie. And that is job done. And Unorthodox has got an almighty task to do. But don't forget, Dan's tyres are fresher than Jamie's. That is the big thing. Gary, though, has them 6 lap old mediums and will be rapid, you'd imagine, at the end, because Gary's tyres didn't seem to go 17 laps. If you remember from back the first race when we saw Dan's tyres, his was fine. As PN has got past Lucas Roth as well. So Lucas Roth, after his spin, dropping right down to P10. And PN on the back of Craig E. There is Lucas Roth, and here is Craig E. So for Smithy and Gary, good points as a team here in this race. Can PN have a look up the inside? I tell you what, he does have a little send it look, and that is a good move from PN. P8 and job done. Leon Fernie within a second. Jamie Brazier sets the fastest lap again. Gary must have had a problem somewhere because he's dropped a lot of time back to Forzy. Leon in the pits, and this puts Forzy currently on the podium with Gary 1.5 seconds behind. Forzy, his closest rival in the championship. Where will Leon Fernie come out? Smithy looks like he's going to get through. I don't think Fury's going to get through. That'll be a little bit optimistic. Mediums off, softs on for Leon Fernie. And away he goes now Down the slow pit lane he goes. Fury only just coming onto the start straight. So Leon Fernie, P6. And a good job there. Lucas Roth on the back of Craigie. Craigie has DRS on PN Motorsport. Craigie runs a little wide out the final corner, and this will allow Lucas Roth to not even have a look. He just didn't get the run he wanted. Looked like he pulled alongside for a moment, but didn't get the run Harry wanted it. And Craigie stays ahead of Lucas Roth, but stays behind PN Motorsport. There is Lucas Roth. Look, right on the back of Craigie. PN sent one on Craig into this hairpin a little earlier. Lucas Roth not gaining on Craigie, even with a DRS. So Craig must be running a different setup. It's all preset setups, so you only get 5 to choose from. Max downforce, increased downforce, balanced increased top speed, or max top speed. Now I wonder if Craigie, as Dan then, pumping in the fastest lap of the race. Here comes Lucas Roth gaining on Craigie. Takes too much curb and has to hold a slide, and does very well to hold that slide there, as that could have been disastrous and could have allowed DJ Phil through. Gary now 2 seconds behind Forsey on these mediums. So Gary might be at a stage of the race where he needs these soft tyres to start to go off. Gary though, for Dan though, 2 lap fresher tyres than on Orthodubs. And set the fastest lap. Sorry, Dan is on Orthodubs. He's got 2 lap fresher tyres than Big Boy Brazier. Massive slide for Lucas Roth. And this feature race just a little stretched out at the minute, but it was the safety car that brought it back last week, if you remember. No sign of a safety car at the minute here at Algarve. We've only had 1 VSC. No safety cars at all at the moment. So what can Unorthodox do? This is Lucas Roth, who's lost out to Craigie massively. The closest battle on track is actually Craigie to PN Motorsport then. Gary has that gap back under 2 seconds to Forsey. And Dan just not being able to lap as quick as Big Boy Brazier at the minute. That gap has stayed the same. Lucas Roth, time penalty for multiple warnings. That'll be for track limits then, just pushing the limits too much. DJ Phil's actually catching Lucas Roth, and Smokey Devil catching DJ Phil. Bryn has had a nightmare race tonight. Who is that behind him? That is Leon Fernie in 6th behind him. So let's go on Leon Fernie and see when he'll get past Bryn. And Bryn pulls to one side as the blue flags would have been waving, and Leon Fernie, easy as you like, through he goes. 17 seconds behind A. Smith and 5 seconds ahead of Fury. So Fury trying to hunt him down in this race. The closest battle of Craigie and PN. That battle is going to resume, it looks like, because that's down to 1.3. And Craigie trying to get in that DRS range maybe by the end of this lap of PN Motorsport. Dan's brought the gap down a little bit as well, as he does another fastest lap of the race. Now, let's not forget, for Unorthodox here, he's only up to 7th in the championship, ahead of Big Boy Brazier. Big Boy Brazier will outscore him by 5 points at the minute, which will actually put him ahead of Unorthodox. So for Dan, yes, he'll gain on DJ Phil and PN Motorsport and Lucas Roth and Rabbit Joe, with Joe not being here, but he's also going to lose out to Jamie Brazier in the process. Forsey and Gary's gap will be cut short, and Forsey will cut Gary's gap even shorter. This gap then here down to 1.2 seconds at the moment, but still 296 points on offer. Yellow flag, sector 3. Is that Lucas Roth? It is. And DJ Phil flies past, and this could be Smokey Devil's opportunity to get through as well. So the night for Lucas Roth has gone from bad to worse, and Smokey Devil will have DRS. Can Lucas Roth get back past DJ Phil with DRS? As Craigie's lost a lot of momentum to PN, that gap's back up to 1.7. Here comes Lucas Roth. Can't get close to DJ Phil, neither can Smoky Devil to the back of him. Oh, he gets close to Phil now. Through turns 1 and 2 into turn 3. Really on the back of DJ Phil. He's got to be patient on the throttle, which allows Phil to get a bit of a better run. Smoky Devil not getting any closer. Dan gets the gap towards the bottom end of 3 seconds, and Lucas Roth sends one up the inside. Has missed the corner by a mile, though. And will DJ Phil get him back past? He will indeed. So a day late, dollar short for Lucas Roth there. He's got to get it done once again. And Smoky Devil just patiently watching in the background, as this is where Keegs keeps having a few problems. He managed to get through that one pretty unscathed there. Craigie 1.8 to PN. And Gary's gap up to nearly 3 seconds now. So as Gary had a little wobble somewhere because his medium tyres, his strategy hasn't worked for him, and it's going to cost him a podium in this race. He was leading, don't forget, at one stage, and Lucas Roth under pressure now from Smoky Devil. Instead of being able to attack DJ Phil, he's under pressure from Smoky Devil. Down the hill they come now. 3 tenths between Lucas Roth and DJ Phil. And he's going to really want to get this done. The poll has ended. The next poll will be for driver of the day, so you can make sure you get your votes in for that one. As it's done it without me, but here then, what happened to Lucas Roth there? What is happening to Lucas Roth's car? It's gone very slow. I thought he was pulling out to pass Phil, and Smoky Devil's got past DJ Phil. So what has happened to Lucas Roth's car? Jamie Brazier responds to Dan with the fastest lap of the race. But for Lucas Roth, he's 5 seconds behind. What has happened? Phil back ahead of Smoky Devil. Gary now over 3 seconds behind Forzy at the minute. So the poll going out for driver of the day. Get your vote in for that one. But what happened there to Lucas Roth? Leon Fernie now does the fastest lap. Seems to be fine, does Keegs now. I'm not sure what happened to Keegs' car there. Smoky Devil half a second off the back. Dan's got the gap down to 2.7. Leon Fernie's trying to chase A. Smith. That's 16 seconds out. Gary's gap to Forzy's going up even more. But the longer this race goes on, you just feel that Gary's tyres are going to be the better tyres to be on. Here comes Smoky Devil. DJ Phil defends his line. He comes back across now. And Smoky Devil sends one up the inside. And Phil turns in on him and spins the car around. Now where's Lucas Roth? Oh, and Phil forcing Lucas Roth wide there as he tried to rejoin. A bit naughty from DJ Phil there then, as Lucas Roth now will have DRS on him. For Dan, it's 2.5 seconds the gap, and that is for the race win. Flying at the moment is unorthodox, although Leon Fernie has the fastest lap of the race. PM Motorsport, in fact, what's happened to Smithy? He's passed Gary. Gary's in the pits. PN's on the back of Fury. So what has happened to Fury here then? Yellow flag sector 2, and that is Smoky Devil who's now had a mistake. So round he goes. And as he slowly gets away, PM Motorsport will be in DRS range of Gary 131. Gary has lost out to Leon Fernie and A. Smith. Clearly his medium tyre strategy did not work. And has he just cost himself a few extra points there to Forzy in this championship fight? It is a marathon, not a sprint, as Fury gets quickly disposed of Bryn, and PN in that DRS could not get any closer. Fury must have picked it up off of Bryn's lapped car then, as Jamie has a car between him and Dan, but the gap is 1.9 seconds. And more importantly, Dan will get DRS off of the back of what looks to be Smoky Devil, as Lucas Roth is in the pits, but I think has done a drive-through penalty there, so I'm not quite sure what's happened. I didn't see him pit. but he is a fair way behind DJ Phil, so he must have changed tyres. He hasn't changed tyres, 6-lap old softs. So I'm not sure what has happened to Lucas Roth there then. Either way, Gary's on fresh softs. Dan, 1.7 to Big Boy Brazier out in front. Currently 1 vote on the stream going the way of Big Boy Brazier. Guys, girls, don't forget, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, hit the bell to be notified when we are live, and don't forget to vote for Driver of the Day, as PN is again a lot closer to Fury, 0.6 of a second, but that gap just opening back up. It will be, though, enough for DRS here, as Craigie 3 seconds in the background. On board Fury, keeps PN at bay, and in fact extends his gap. Fuel problems for Keegs again, he says. It says Plover in the chat, so not sure what has happened there with Keegs, but he is losing time. So Plover, is Keegs out of fuel then? Gary then, did he go for the fastest, did he pit for the fastest lap of this race? This is the big question. And if he did, can he make up the places of Leon Fernie? Will Smithy give him 4th place back as a result of it as well? Nothing to lose for Smithy. Gary, 9 seconds behind Leon Fernie though. Everything to gain. If Gary can somehow make Smithy, or tell Smithy team orders slow down. Championship firmly on though for both these boys at the minute. So Plover, if you're still in the chat, is Keegs out of fuel? Because if he is, that'll be a retirement and a 13th place, and Carlin not scoring as big as they'd have hoped. Dan closing the gap, yellow flag sector 2, and that is, I do believe, a back marker. Who is just ahead of Fury? It's Lucas Roth. So it isn't Forsey that's the back marker, sorry. It is Lucas Roth that's just had a spin now. I think it was Smoky Devil DJ Phil last time round that had a bit of a moment, one of them, but Lucas Ross now had a spin. This could bring Bryn back into play here, of maybe getting a place over Lucas Roth. Lap 31 of 37. This man, 9 seconds ahead of Gary 131, who hasn't got the fastest lap of the race. That goes the way of Unorthodox at the moment. 2.1 seconds the gap, Jamie to Dan. So Dan's gap has opened up a bit. And Plover, DJ Phil is in the pits. So that could allow Lucas Roth through. And Plover saying that he's still going, but has a big negative value on his dash for the fuel. So let's see if we can just look at Keegs' dashboard. And minus 2.32 is Keegs' fuel. He's surely got to lift and coast here. Does he have a gearbox problem as well? Because that is struggling in 3rd gear. That sounded like a gearbox problem in 3rd there then. No. Seem to all be fine this time. No, it's a gearbox problem in gear 4. And gear 5. So Keegs has got a gearbox problem, it would seem. Smithy gets through. Gary sets the fastest lap of the race. It sounds like Keegs has got a gearbox problem then. Struggling in 4th and 5th, as well as fuel issues. Keegs could really do with a safety car. Dan could really do with a safety car. Gary could really do with a safety car. He's 8 seconds off the back of Leon Fernie. That is a big, tall order. Not a lot happening in this feature race. Dan's gap is back up to 2 seconds to Big Boy Brazier. There is Dan, and there is Jamie. Let's look at Jamie's fuel. That is just in the plus, as is Dan, as is Forsey. A. Smith's is fine. Leon Fernie's looks fine. Gary's looks fine. Fury's is +1. PM Motorsport fine. Craigie just on the edge of fuel issues there, as is Smokey. Lucas Roth, we know, struggling. Let's listen to Keegs' car again when it goes down into 4th and 5th. Fine in 4th and 5th that time around, but it wasn't a moment ago. Let's hear it when it goes back up to full speed. Let's see if we can hear Keegs' gearbox playing up. Seems fine there. It must be when the fuel's juddering around a little bit. DJ Phil, fine for fuel. Bryn, fine for fuel as well. And this man, how dominant has this man been? 3 votes in the chat at the minute. 1 for Gary, 1 for Unorthodox, and 1 for Jamie. Guys, girls, get your votes in for driver of the day. How dominant has Big Boy Brazier been on his first 2 outings here? In the F2s, Craigie, who's running a little fine on the fuel, gaining on PN Motorsport. As Jamie's 2-lap younger tyres are doing just the business at the moment. They're doing exactly what he's needing them to do. As at the minute, doing everything he needs to do as well. So Jamie Brazier, everything going the way he wants. Dan, second place. It'll be good points in his championship to come back with. But for Gary, 7 seconds off the back of Leon Fernie at this one in the minute. At the minute, 23 people watching, 13 likes. Guys, girls, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you are new. No safety car to make this one entertaining at the very end. But for Gary 131, has he cost himself a few more points here? Is he hoping that Leon Fernie and Smithy's tyres go off towards the end? He's 6 laps younger, but he's not gaining on Leon Fernie as quick as he'd like to. Dan's brought the gap back down to Jamie a little bit there. So Dan coming back on Jamie Brazier. At this moment in time, that as well is the closest battle on track. 1.8 is the gap now between the top 2. Can Dan take his first race win? Will Jamie pull 2 ahead of Gary and get a bit closer to Dan in all-time race wins here at Simplay Motorsport? Gary 7.4 to Leon Fernie, so that gap has stayed as it is, and it is not changing. 3 votes for driver of the day at the moment. If you disagree with them 3, get in the comments who you think should be driver of the day. Lucas Ross still ahead and way ahead of DJ Phil at the minute, still having fuel problems. He's actually in the slipstream of Gary. And Keegs might run out of fuel this lap. He's 2 laps short of the end, has been lapped by Gary. Yellow flag, sector 3, and that is Unorthodox, who's had a big off. And Unorthodox here then, recovering from a spin, has now thrown this race win away. Was he just pushing too hard? Are the tyres going off? That's the biggest question. The closest battle on track. He can't afford to make another mistake because Forzy's now only 9 seconds behind him. But for Unorthodox then, has he just cost himself a race win? The closest battle on track is Craigie to PN. DJ Phil may catch Lucas Roth towards the end of this race because Lucas Roth is running out of fuel and running out of fuel rapidly. Unorthodox up and over the hill. Gary sets another fastest lap. He's now got the gap down to 6.9, but he's only got 2 laps to do it, and he's got to be 3 seconds a lap quicker than Leon Fernie, or hope that Leon Fernie makes a mistake for Gary to be in with a shout in this. Yellow flag, sector 1, and that is Lucas Roth. No, it's not. I think it's Gary 131 who's had a problem. No, it is. It's for Lucas Roth. I think he's out of fuel. He is, look, cannot get out of second gear. He is out of fuel, is Lucas Roth. The car grinding to a halt as DJ Phil comes flying past. And this car is just going to stop. Fuel problems again for Lucas Roth in this race. Fury puts a lap on him. Where is Bryn coming down the start line? So Bryn will gain 13th place. As Lucas Roth here, I think he's pulling up to the side of the track. He is. Nothing left in this car. And he's retired. He's out. So Lucas Roth, 13th place, and not the start to his second race that he would have wanted here then. So he is out. And Bryn will come through. Not sure what's happening there with Bryn's eye, but he comes through nonetheless. That is Forsey. Dan's got the gap back down under 10 seconds, but for this man, what a dominant win. Took the sprint, took the final race. Yellow flag, sectors 1 and 2. That, I do believe, is Forsey who's possibly made a mistake. No, it's Leon Fernie. He's slow. Is he out of fuel? Could Gary be in for another couple of points? But it's not about Gary in this one. It's about this man. It's going to be the London buses here in Portugal. And Big Boy Brazier takes the race to win. Craigie's crossed the line to finish 9th. On Orthodubs then, what could have been? But it's a second place, a second place in this one. It was 3rd in race 1 behind Forsey. And for this man, Forsey, it's going to be a P3. 2 podiums and he closes the gap to Gary. A. Smith then. What can he do? In fact, he looks slow. Leon Fernie, 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. A. Smith looks slow because Gary's got past Leon Fernie. Is this team orders coming into play then for the boys at ART? Smoky Devils cross the line for 10th place. DJ Phil will cross the line for 11th. But at ART, the team orders coming into play here, are they? Gary takes P4 from Smithy in 5th. So team orders there. Leon Fernie has lost out to PN Motorsport and to Fury then. So what has happened to him? Fury is going to come through for a P6. PN Motorsport looks like he's going to take a 7th. Got to get there first though. Craigie's already finished. DJ Phil finishes P11. There's Fury for P6. PN Motorsport P7. Has Leon Fernie at the very end ran out of fuel. It's going to be an 8th place nonetheless. But for Leon Fernie, what has happened there? I think he is out of fuel. So Leon Fernie and Lucas Roth running out of fuel on the last lap. As we have got the top 3 in for a quick chat, hopefully anyway. The driver of the day goes A. Smith on the channel. Driver of the day at the minute is heading that way of Jamie Brazier. Let's get the top 3 in for a quick word, because it didn't do it on here, so that's lovely to see. So let's get the top 3 in for a quick chat here then. As it still hasn't done it. And hopefully now then, we will get to speak to the boys. The fastest lap of the race goes the way of Gary 131. So yet again, he takes another fastest lap. In terms then of the championship, the tables look like this. And Smoky Devil and Leon Fernie both get themselves on the board and get a point then, as it's Gary 131 who leads the way. 5 points clear of Forsey at the moment in this championship battle. Big Boy Brazier straight up into 3rd place. He's 16 points off the lead. Dan now is 4th, 21 points off the back. Fury and Rabbit Joe in the Trident cars tied on 18 points apiece. Lucas Roth and PM Motorsport tied 7th on 17 points apiece. A. Smith is 9th on 14. DJ Phil Green is on 12 points down in 10th place. Craigie on 11 points. Leon Fernie on 12. Bryn on Leon Fernie 12th on 4 points. Bryn on 1. Smoky Devil on 1. Shane and that Bozzy Boy yet to turn up at the moment. And ART lead by 7 points from High Tech Motorsport. Prema now up into third place, 13 points off the back. We're calling fourth, 18 points off the back at the moment. Trident P5 with HWA Race Lab in sixth. Campos Racing in seventh. MP Motorsport eighth. And Univitosi, Jamie, said that right? Univirtuosi Racing yet to get off the mark. We've got Jamie and Dan in. I don't think we've got Forzi. Now we have got Forzi in. So we will start with Forzi then. And Forzi, 2 podiums. Very good night of racing for yourself. Hello. 2 podiums. Very good night. Nice. Is that why you lost a lot of time at the beginning of the race then, because of the controller? Yeah. Four podiums. Yeah, 4 podiums for yourself. 5 points behind Gary in the championship race. We head to Barcelona next. I do believe Barcelona's next. Yep. What can you do around there? Obviously a long way in the championship, but 5 points behind Gary 131. That's nice to still have that close gap between the two of you in the championship. Well, best of luck, buddy, for next week, and well done tonight. And we've got Dan in the chat, and Dan, ebbing and flowing between you and Jamie Brazier. You say I don't use that word enough. You dropped it at the end, though.
Yeah, just trying too hard, Matt. Just trying too hard. I felt like I had the tyre life to carry and catch him, but he was just too fast in a straight line.
Too fast in a straight line. A second and a third, though, for you tonight. You said, after last week where you and your teammate decided to play bumper cars, that was a lot better running. That was a lot smoother. You've actually got to the end of this race.
Yeah, race 1 I'm struggling with lag once again, and it's really starting to wind me up. I need to sort it out, really. Got caught up with Gary and was basically carrying front wing damage, and it was all just lag. Like 1 minute Gary wasn't there, next minute he was. It was just a bit, what's going on kind of thing. So I carried the front wing damage, knew that repairing it would be pointless. So I knew that I had the pace for Jamie, but just obviously with that front wing damage, it just wasn't happening. Yeah, in this race, again, trying to extend the tyre life, trying to have the advantage on the last lap, and with the increased downforce, I was much faster in the medium sectors. I just didn't get enough on the straight, so fair play to Jamie. Well done, dear, but I'll take 2/3. That actually starts my championship season now. It
really does. Now, we say about your qualifying hasn't been as good as like Andy's in the GT3s. That's 2 from 2 in terms of feature race pole positions. With Andy not qualifying and not racing at the moment, you really close the gap to him in this qualifying stat. But I suppose the other stat you're worried about is Jamie Brazier can close your race win stats overall at the moment.
Stats don't really bother me as such. They're there to be broken, as Michael Schumacher says. So, I mean, if they can chase and hunt me down for race wins, I am going to be able to fight for those wins. But at the end of the day, if Jamie beats me, then fair dues. He probably deserves it.
Does it
doing it wheel to wheel on track with me?
Does it, though, provide... Knowing that Jamie's getting closer to them stats, I know you say stats don't matter. Does that provide you with a bit of more motivation to want to win more and to want to fight Jamie hard to make sure that you sort of stay that number one overall?
Yes and no, because if I let it get to my head, I start overdriving. So if I don't think about it, I should be fine. But towards the end there, it was just me overthinking. And then, yeah, as soon as I got a clear lap on my own, I was doing purple sectors again because I wasn't thinking that hard. So to me, if I don't think about it, I'll be fine. But it just didn't pan out. Didn't like Portugal anyway, so I'll be glad to get gone here.
Catalonia next week. We go from Portugal to Spain. I know you're not a fan of Catalonia, but what can we do around there?
I don't know. It's just going to be follow the leader at Catalonia, I feel. So we'll see what we can do. Do a bit of testing in. We need to go and speak to Carlin because for some reason they're not fueling Keys' car properly, and that's 4 times in a row now that he's ran out of fuel. So we're going to have a word with Carlin because it feels like they're being a bit cheap on the fuel prices at the minute.
Yeah, indeed they are. Well done, Dan. We'll see you next week. And Jamie, you came, you saw, you conquered, and Algarve in your back pocket.
Yeah, say Algarve's a track I quite like. Say back from GT3, something I think I got 3 wins around this track, and say I was looking forward to it coming into it. Thought I'd get a few podiums and just trying to kickstart my F2 season because I went here last week. But yeah, two wins. Definitely can't complain.
Can't complain, and it was the first one was pretty convincing. That second race, though, you had a great scrap with Dan and Gary early on before Gary's pit stop. Came close a few times to just kind of maybe outbreaking yourself and going into the back of Gary and Dan a couple of times. Was that ever in the back of your mind to just maybe wait a little bit more and be more patient?
But I was just trying to wait behind and try and use the main straight to my advantage. And every time I got behind Gary down the main straight, I'd get the DRS and get the slipstream, but I just wouldn't have enough. And the one time I did make a move, Dan managed to get past me. But yeah, the F2 cars, the brakes on these are a bit more not what I'm used to. I have to brake a bit earlier than I would in anything else, and say might be the same for Gary and Dan. But yeah, I was just trying to keep as close as I could to them.
Now we speak about the real world F1 and we say we don't talk about what happened at Abu Dhabi last season. We don't talk about what happened at Abu Dhabi last season in our league as well. But your lag normally is the issue. Tonight we had Dan with a bit of lag. I bet that's a bit strange for you to see it the opposite way around.
But to begin with, I was panicking, thinking that it was my lag, and then halfway through the first lap, I was looking around and saw that no one else was lagging, but Dan, and PN said as well that Dan was lagging. So yeah, I calmed down a bit after that because I thought, oh no, not again.
That's your 25th race win here at Simplay Motorsport, the first milestone for yourself. It's been a while since we spoke to you about a win. Obviously, the last one was Dubai, the last race of the season. But 25th race win, another one on the board. Catalonia next week. What can you do around there?
It's not my strongest, but so just got to come gain the points and try and keep up with the guys at the top of the championship.
Well done, Jamie. Gary has taken the fans' vote of the day. Jamie, you're going to get the commentators' vote for driver of the day. So Gary, the fans' driver of the day, and Jamie Brazier, my vote. That is all we've got time for, though. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do so. Hit that thumbs up button as well. And don't forget to hit the bell to be notified. Wednesday night, myself and Dan Davis back live, Pro-Am. 4 weeks left to go, 8 races. And it's the second night race, a trip to the Czech Republic of Brno as we head there as well Thursday night, where Dan Davis and Jamie Brazier will be bringing you that live coverage. I myself will be back next Sunday evening, 7 p.m. BST. We'll be lights out for the one-shot qualifying at Catalonia. And if Carlos Sainz won today, can Unorthodox win next week in his number 5 car? Obviously, Carlos Sainz 55. We'll have to wait and see, though. Vamos for Dan Unorthodox, but vamos for Jamie tonight. Absolutely untouchable. We'll see you next week. Good night. Absolutely untouchable. We'll see you next week. Good night. And we're out.
And thank you to people who've watched my stream. That's me done for tonight. What a penis towards the end, but hey. Good night, y'all. See you next week.
Y'all. Good night, y'all. Love y'all.
God, I'm a fucking idiot, man.
Well, don't want to say. Can I just say, by the way, track limits.